The preseason is underway. The Ducks have a meteoric appearance against the Mammoth. What is this special teams going to look like? Is it going to be the best in the league? Find out on this episode of Locked On Anaheim Ducks.
You're Locked On Ducks, your daily podcast on the Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome, everybody. What's up, everydayers? Thank you for making Locked On Anaheim Ducks your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Kyle Carr. I'm a lifelong Anaheim Ducks fan, and I've spent multiple years covering collegiate sports, including college hockey. But here on Locked On Ducks, we're always talking about the Anaheim Ducks, and it's finally the preseason. We've had 2 preseason games under the Ducks belt so far, and kind of mixed reactions from the 2 games. We'll get into that. And we'll also talk about the special teams, this power play, penalty kill. Are the Ducks going to be in the top of the league when it comes to special teams this year? And what does the rest of the preseason look like for this team? Those are the things we're going to get into today. First off, though, let's get into the last 2 games. There was a little afternoon showing against the LA Kings out in Ontario yesterday at the Toyota Arena. And then today, the Anaheim Ducks hosted the Utah Mammoth, their first time donning the Utah Mammoth name, at least, here in Anaheim. They've had a couple of preseason games themselves, but pretty decent showing tonight, Monday at the Honda Center. But looking at Sunday first, the first game, it looked a little tough. Obviously, the roster was a lot younger. There's a lot more AHL looking players, even some junior players, guys that were kind of on that bubble of, are they going to go back to juniors, or are they going to maybe go spend some time with San Diego? Not a lot of the roster was looking at playing up in the big leagues this year, other than Cutter Gauthier was pretty much the only name that stood out. There was a couple others, but he was really the main one. Beckett Seneca showed up for that game. Not really showed up playing wise, but he was at that game, part of that roster. Looking back, honestly, it was kind of a pedestrian effort by the younger squad on that first game. The final result ended up being 3-1, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have the score right here in front of me. I want to say it was 3-1. It was 2-1, then the empty net, I'm pretty sure made it 3-1. But either way, the Ducks only getting 1 goal. And I was a little concerned. Looking at the rookie tournament that occurred, or rookie face-off, because there wasn't really a tournament. There wasn't like a winner or a loser or anything. But looking at the rookie face-off and looking at these guys playing against their peer group, the Ducks young guns versus the Sharks and Kings young guns, so far they have not been generating a lot of offense. I think total the younger Bucks have scored 4 goals. I think total 5 goals out of the 3 games that they've played, exhibition games, of course, but little concerning with the lack of offense within the younger group. However, there is a whole new system being implemented. Quenneville coming in and introducing this new offense and defensive structure and the systems and everything. Obviously, these guys are not quite at that age and development where they're able to just kind of pick up a new system and run with it. They're not full professionals yet. They still got growing pains and everything. So I just think it was just kind of a mix of all these guys not really spending any time together previously in their junior careers, and then throwing them together, trying to learn a new system when they all come from different systems and different ideas and concepts of whatever team they play on. It's a little expected to not be clicking in full cylinders and having a whole new coaching staff. So would I've liked to have seen more offense? Absolutely. Would I have liked to seen some better chances? Absolutely. There was a couple giveaways that looked pretty nasty. Beckett Seneca threw up some muffins. Sidorov was not nearly as present as I would have liked to have seen. Solberg kind of looked good, got some good hits. He was looking solid out there defensively. Pretty much just a good showing, but nothing really to write home about. And then moving forward to today's game, this roster today had a lot more NHL players. We're looking at Troy Terry, Alex Killorn, Ryan Strome, Frank Vatrano, Chris Kreider. You've got Peter Mrazek in net. There was Jackson LaCombe on the defense, Zellweger, Gudis. A lot more of the main roster participated in tonight's game, Monday, against the Utah Mammoth. And it was a completely different story tonight compared to Sunday. Bringing in the NHL guys and seeing players that have been together for a while, that know how to adjust, know how to adapt to a new system, you could see just a different level to the way that this team was playing. Even though it was the preseason, the Utah Mammoth had a lot of their key players. Keller was out there, Sergachev. The only goal scorer was Gunther, Dylan Gunther for the Mammoth, and it was a nasty, nasty little move that he had. Nice little deke opened up Mrazek, and he flipped it 5-hole. But other than that, the Ducks were shutting down most of Mammoth's approaches. There was a couple shifts where they got hemmed in. I have a video I might post later. It was 4 minutes pretty much of the Ducks being hemmed in the defensive zone. The first period was a little tough. Both teams were a little flat, not really much going on. I think the only player that really showed up in the first period was Jackson LaCombe. He was really the only guy generating offensive chances, and he looked amazing. LaCombe looks like he hasn't missed a beat. He was taking off, looking great. But overall, the structure of the team looked wonderful. Once they really started to get things going, especially in the second and the third period, there's just a quickness to their play. The support. I love this new zone type defense. It seemed like they were clicking a lot better than the younger team. They were in the right spots. They had support. Guys were able to put pucks into space to make sure that their player got it. The turnovers, there's a few here and there, but none of them were really detrimental to where it was like dead open in the middle of the ice, and all of a sudden they turn around and score or anything like that. Just some like clearing attempts getting picked off, or some rough and tumble up against the boards. But other than that, the Ducks really had a great time clearing the puck out of the defensive zone. Once they got possession, they got active sticks, active bodies. Everyone was moving really well, really quick. Getting back checking was great. I think the forecheck was super strong. And Troy Terry tonight, absolutely buzzing out there. I talked about this last week that I think Troy Terry's going to have a total new look this year with the new system with Quenneville and what he wants to implement for this team. I think Terry's a guy that really is going to stick out for that, and it showed tonight. He had a couple of points tonight, a couple assists, didn't get the goal. He could have got one, but it did get tipped off of his shot. But he looked amazing. He was moving the puck really well. Just he would give and go right away, taking space in the middle, stick handling through guys, just being a dog up against the boards and making plays, looking really clean. I thought Seneca showed up a lot better tonight. He looked great. He got a goal tonight, just straight dogging through, fighting guys off, and he just stayed strong on the puck, gets one in. There's a lot to look forward to. I think tonight I was very nervous going in just after what I've been seeing out of the preseason with the rookies and kind of the lack of offense. And then tonight was a totally different story. So really exciting to see. And a big part of tonight's game that was, I think, very noticeable, and it took off like right off the hop and was something that the Ducks worked on quite a bit tonight, was special teams. And we'll get into just how well they're going to be this year. But I think there's something coming in this Ducks future. So we'll get into the special teams right after this. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they are worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Monarch Money is great if you have any kind of like neurodivergency like myself, and you just have sheets everywhere, files everywhere, bank statements all over your apartment. Monarch Money puts it all in one place, and you don't have to worry about missing anything. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDON NHL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNHL. Now, the preseason, a couple games under the Ducks belt. We've gotten to have a couple looks at the new and improved Joel Quenneville era of Anaheim Ducks. A lot of NHL regulars in the lineup tonight. And I think we got to see a good picture of what the power play and the penalty kill will look like this year. Obviously, a couple guys might get changed around once we get to the full NHL roster, but when I name these guys, you're going to see pretty much these are all guys that are going to be in this roster, except for I think Beckett Seneca might be the only one, and Hins. But on the PK, the Ducks, unfortunately, were shorthanded quite a bit tonight. I felt like the refereeing was a little sensitive. Preseason, they're trying to set the tone going into the new year, kind of they're checking guys a little bit more and being a little more stringent when it comes to penalties, but a couple trippings that really were nothing burgers, hook on Beckett Seneca, just weird interference stuff. Nothing crazy. No bad discipline or anything. It was just kind of unluckiness of the whistle. But looking at the penalty kill, one of the units that was out there off the hop was Alex Killorn, Mikael Granlund, Jackson LaCombe, and Drew Hellison as a unit. And then once they changed out, we had Gudis, Hins, Carlson, and Kreider. And then there was another PK unit that did come out that kind of mixed up things here, and it would still be LaCombe and Hellison as the defenseman, but it had Strome and Vatrano out there. So the forwards, you're looking at Killorn, Granlund, Carlson and Kreider, and then Strome and Vatrano were kind of the forward groups, and then Gudis, Hins, and LaCombe Hellison. I expect that to change, possibly Zellweger being on that pairing with Gudis. Kind of an interesting note, too. I didn't mention it in the top of the show here, but Gudis and Zellweger were paired up today in today's game. At the beginning of the game, there was a mid-game change where Gudis ended up being with LaCombe, and they had Hellison with Zellweger. And I kind of like that mix up there. I think we saw a good transition. But Drew Hellison, another player that doesn't seem like he skipped a beat. He was really stellar tonight, both in 5-on-5 and the four on five or 4-on-4. Either way, got a couple of points as well tonight. So really like the showing by Drew Hellison. Now, looking at the power play, Ducks only got a couple power plays tonight, so we didn't get to see a lot of them, but they did have a pretty good success. I felt like when they were up a man, there was a lot of pressure. Shots were actually getting through. A big change that I noticed, they were moving the puck quickly. Once it got into the offensive zone, they actually had offensive zone time on the power play. They were moving the puck from the perimeter to the top of the point at the key there. They were getting shots through. It was not nearly as stagnant as last year. It looked like an actual NHL power play. And honestly, with how that looked from the first part, I think that these Ducks are going to have a stellar power play. I think the days of the Ducks being at the bottom of the NHL when it comes to special teams, that's over. They're going to be up at least average. I don't think having an average power play is out of the question this year. An above average power play, very likely. They looked good. They looked physical, fast. The way that they were actually seeing the lanes, and something that I noticed too today that I haven't seen in a while was the Ducks making that third plane uh, type of movement of the puck, where I talked about this kind of last year, where you have the first plane is like the guy who's next to you that you can pass to. The second plane is like that second guy behind that defenseman, and then the third plane is like everything else, like basically across the ice. And a lot of times where the pucks say like with Troy Terry or something, or let's say like one of the goals that was scored, Drew Hellison, he's on the far boards from where I'm sitting on the left point. And then he's moving. Troy Terry had just given it to him. They're moving the puck around, and Hellison spots Frank Vatrano all the way down near side boards. So like here is Hellison up here. If this was the blue line, Vatrano is down here. Say this is the goal. Vatrano is down here on the complete diagonal side. Hellison spots him, whips it down to him, and then he catches Terry, who's coming through the middle. Vatrano hits Terry, and then Terry cuts through the defenseman, hits Hellison, and Hellison gets a nice goal there. So the vision and the puck movement and the speed and the actual creativity and solidness, if that's even a word, came together. Like it looks like a totally different group of players. They looked confident in their special teams. They looked confident on the penalty kill, the power play, 5-on-5. Guys were getting in there. They weren't not scared to make a move. There was multiple times when I would look and Zellweger is down in the slot, basically trying to get a redirect, and you've got Carlson up at the top. Or there was times when I saw LaCombe down low. You got Hellison down, like, and the forwards are up. There's a lot more like comfort and support and this like I'm trying to think of the word to use on the difference here and what we're seeing. It's like it's just an overall like solidity and camaraderie. It's like the chemistry, the camaraderie, everything is so much more solid already. And this is only the second game of the preseason. And obviously, as things get up and they're playing against some of the more top teams, it could look a little different. But to play against most of Utah's top guys and to just see how they kept ringing up the offense, 6-1, not a bad score. I think from the sample size that happened today, and obviously we'll see how things go, but I think that there's going to be a uptick in penalty kills, shorthanded goals. I think there's going to be the success rate of the penalty kills going to increase, and then the power play itself, they're going to be in the at least above average category of power play. At the very, very minimum, they'll be average, but I see above average. Just how confident and how smooth and how engaged the team was today. I think we've got a good thing coming out here to watch as Anaheim Ducks fans. And what is the future of this preseason going to look like? What do they need to work on? What should the expectations be? We'll get into that right after this. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you are ready for kickoff with a can't miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. With FanDuel, you can get engaged with football, you can get engaged with basketball, you can get engaged with postseason baseball coming up, you can get engaged with regular season hockey coming up. This is the best time for sports, and it's the best time to get engaged on FanDuel. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting fanduel.com to get started. That's fanduel.com to place your first $5 bet. So now looking forward, what is to be expected of this preseason and this training camp and everything going on? Looking at how things went yesterday, I think there's going to be a fairly quick move of the younger guys. And then after watching today, I just think that there's going to be a pretty big exodus of players shortly. I don't think they're going to be lingering with guys. I think Verbeek and I'm not sure how much input Quenneville is going to really have on this, but I just think they're going to try to get this team filtered down as quickly as possible and really get repetitions for the guys that are going to need it. Like not really necessarily the big NHL guys because obviously they're going to be able to get in and you want to keep them kind of engaged and still get some of the youth engaged. But I think that there's going to be a pretty big chunk of the younger players getting moved out fairly quickly. And then a lot of the preseason games, you're going to see a mix of those kind of AHL bubble guys coming in and then a rotation of the NHL guys. And I think that after today, watching how the top guys did, a lot of the veteran guys, and then even the younger crew, uh, I think they seem pretty settled in, and obviously they're going to keep pushing and trying to just lock things down in practice. I just don't see them getting a ton of reps through this preseason. Like the guys that were on the roster tonight, I highly doubt a lot of them are going to be there on Wednesday, but it could be similar on the roster as well. It's really up to Verbeek how quickly he wants to narrow this down, but I'm not seeing a lot of lingering youth players is really what I'm trying to get at. I think it's going to get nailed down pretty quickly. Tonight, I felt like was a test for Beckett Seneca to see if he was going to be getting moved out pretty quickly or not. He had a pretty pedestrian rookie face-off. He had not the best showing last night. A lot of turnovers, a lot of mistakes, just kind of lackadaisical, not really moving your feet or swiping, reaching, just not really doing that extra step to make the play happen. But then coming in today, the beginning of the game, again, very concerning. I felt like he wasn't really matching speed. I took a ISO cam video of him for one of his shifts. I think he took maybe 9, 10 steps the entire time he was out there, like a shuffle here, shuffle there, but mostly just kind of standing around watching. Granted, the puck was on the opposite side and he's covering his zone, so he's doing what he's supposed to, but he just kind of didn't seem ready to go. Like he just looked flat and like standing up tall, not really in that kind of like batter's ready stance, or however you want to call that. Like when you're out in the field playing baseball, you got to be in that ready stance. When you're in hockey, you got to be ready because you never know when that puck's going to come. And that second you stand up right and get that flat footed, you're getting beat by that next guy. So a little concerning there. But then once he got locked in, I felt like he really settled into his game. He gets the goal on a nice breakaway, fighting through guys. That obviously, puts a little confidence back in the brain. And after that, he started to have some pretty good offensive plays. He was playing decent on defense, got pretty physical. Dudes were kind of targeting him a bit here too whenever he was down low. Guys like to give the young guys the running, but I think he might have kept himself out in the preseason a little longer after tonight. I think we're going to see Beckett Seneca a couple more games in the preseason, but overall, it does seem like the AHL is kind of the path for Seneca right now. I don't think that he's going to pop up into the NHL. Maybe just for the beginning to really, if he really takes off the rest of the season, they give him a couple games at the beginning of the season before making the moves. But right now, it doesn't seem like he's going to be getting NHL minutes anytime soon. I think there's still some maturing that needs to happen, some aging. I mean, that play he had today at 180 pounds. Imagine once he really puts on adult NHL weight, he's gonna be a massive player. He's strong on the puck when he really wants to be. He has a lot of good things and a good tool set, a good base of tools, but it's like when you buy the base tool set at the hardware store and you need to get more of those specialty tools. Like you got enough to get the job done around the house, but when the extra comes, you got to go get the extra tools. That's kind of where Seneca's at. He's got everything solid for the base of his game, and for the things that he does good at are there, but there just needs to be a little bit more of a refinement and a little more of that wake up call of this is a much faster league. This is a much more physical league. The gap is not there. The time to kind of cruise around and, play the junior style of hockey, that goes away quick. And I think that adjustment was witnessed. Like you kind of got to see it real time from going from yesterday's game into tonight's game with Beckett Seneca. I think that all started to show up in his game. Some younger guys that I think made their name known. Obviously, Phillips tonight. He is on a PTO. He's on a tryout. He got called to camp for camp tryout. Had some time with the Capitals. Gets 2 goals tonight. He's 5'8", so he's my size. Absolutely enjoyed watching him play. I think he'll be a good little firecracker to kind of be a bubble between the San Diego Gulls and the Ducks. I really hope they offer him something. I think he showed, even though his small size, he's in the right place at the right time. He's not afraid to get engaged. I really liked his play. I thought Hins play well tonight. Warren got into a little scrum there tonight. Judd Caulfield, he was looking big, making some. He went to go, stand up again for Killorn. Killorn kind of got this weird big hit below the net, and then Judd Caulfield went and called the guy out, dropped the gloves there. So a lot of hungry guys and a lot of a solid play from the younger guys. I think everyone that was in tonight did well. They held up their own. I think they're adjusting, and the NHL guys are really picking up on Quenneville's system, and I think it's going to be a whole new look. We got a taste of it tonight as fans, and the Ducks kind of got to have a taste of it in not legit, but a pretty decent game type scenario against guys that they're going to be facing off here shortly, and it's something to build off of. It's a good block to have. It was fun to leave the Honda Center. Everyone that was there, I saw a lot of people say hi. They had fun. The fans had fun. Everyone just had a good buzz. So I look forward to the rest of the preseason. I hope they have the similar success and those in-game adjustments can happen, and that I trust Quenneville to not let himself get into a static situation where teams can just kind of figure out how the system works and shut us down. It looks like it's going to be a lot more free flowing, a lot more creative, and that young core, the LaCombes, the um Zellwegers, I did see Minchikov tonight. He wasn't playing, but I did see Minchikov in the concourse today. So he's looking good. He's looking ready. He's hungry, big, full of smiles. But I think that group of players is really going to thrive, and they're going to be taking a huge jump together. There's going to be a huge leap for everyone on this team, but that younger kind of mid core is really going to be the team that's going to step up, and they're going to be the guys that put the league on notice. And you're going to see a lot of that coming up through training camp. So pay attention to that kind of mid, not the veterans, but not the new guys, young guys. Those are the guys to keep an eye out and just take note, see how they do. But so far, preseason, super fun to have hockey back. It's off to a decent start here. We can get more into OC vibe later and how things are looking there, but absolutely enjoyed seeing the Ducks again in the Honda Center. And you should be looking forward to a wonderful preseason and a very, very exciting regular season. So great time to be tuning in. Great time to become not only an Anaheim Ducks fan, but a Locked On Ducks fan, because it's going to be a party over here. And you should also be tuning into some other podcasts, because thank you for making Locked On Anaheim Ducks your first listen today. But for your second listen, you should check out the Locked On NHL podcast. There is no off season, bringing you the daily league-wide stories that matter most with the local coverage you love from Locked On. Find Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Go like and subscribe to the Locked On Ducks YouTube and podcast wherever you listen as well. And as always, I'm Kyle Carr. Be good out there.